Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Spitballin' with Sammy B. Sammy B and TJ Downing here, as we are every Monday throughout the Pro Football Hall of Fame Club luncheon season here, live at Tozzis on 12th. And if you thought Saturday was a beautiful day, it's going to be even better today. We're looking around 76 degrees and sunny. If you're out and about today, enjoy yourself. And before you head out, maybe you log in and check us out on the Stark Media platforms on Instagram, on Twitter, on the Facebook page. Oh, I just gained 5 pounds with that. Turn to the camera right there. And don't forget the Stark Media YouTube channel, which you are on right now. Don't forget, every Monday we'll be here around this time from the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club. I believe this is number 7.
Yep.
Number 7. So that means 28 to go. We got some great speakers coming up down the line. If you can't make it out, and we certainly hope that you can, join us for the great lunch here and the great speaking and the Q&A and all the camaraderie that comes with that. If you can't make it, please join us here on the Stark Media YouTube channel every Monday, right here on the Stark Media YouTube channel. Okay, as always, a lot to recap, rewind, and get to on this weekend. You want to start negative, or do you want to start positive?
Let's get the negative out of the way first.
The negative out of the way. Okay. And I don't think we have to tell you what that negative is. Browns. There it is. Okay, so 2-5 now. One more game coming up Halloween night. I see a lot of tricks coming on Halloween night as the Bengals come into town for a Monday night football game against the Browns. Cleveland now 2-5. Another stinker against the Ravens yesterday. The Bengals whipped up on the Falcons 35-17. Before I get to the Browns here real quick, there are a couple other teams out there that are really, really playing bad football. And it would shock you. It would shock all of us, I think, if I told you those two teams were the Green Bay Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yuck. Yuck right now with those two teams. They are truly the Bay of Pigs right now in 2022. But the Browns yesterday. One of the quickest, fastest-moving NFL games I have ever listened to. Didn't watch it. I listened to it. And I thought for an instant that game was going to be over by 3:30 yesterday afternoon. Then I remembered NFL networks. They pay for a 3-hour window. They got to keep it. But the Baltimore Ravens lined up and ran the ball. They ran the ball. You know what they did? They took a page out of Nate Moore's book on Saturday afternoon. And they lined up and they ran the ball. And they ran it, and they ran it, and they ran it, and they imposed their will. They wore the other side out, and they won the game. A couple wild officiating mistakes, I thought, down the stretch yesterday, too. But I'm not going to be that guy today because at the end of the day, TJ, that really wasn't the reason. It didn't help, but the officials weren't out there not tackling the quarterback and getting off the field on third down and trying to field a punt inside the 5-yard line like Willie Mays in center field during the 48 World Series. There's just so many mistakes there. And again, here we sit. How hot is the seat getting for Kevin Stefanski? Mike Prefer's seat has to be 5,000 degrees right now. Take a little heat off of Joe Woods yesterday, but still that probably needs addressed. But they're a mess.
Yeah, there's really nothing good going on there. And I guess everybody now is just kind of waiting to see when Deshaun Watson gets back. Week 12, does it get better? Can it instantly get better come week 12? I mean, so you're sitting at, we're 2-4, 2-5, 2-5 right now.
Soon to be 2-6.
There will be no bye week before Deshaun Watson gets back. We've already had that one. The other one would be there's only one bye week now in the NFL.
Yeah, well, we had that mini bye because we played on a Thursday night.
Right.
But you have one more bye left. But, I mean, gosh, you're talking about a guy that's going to be pushing almost 300 days without, being out there
against NFL caliber talent and secondaries and defenses that are trained to just be a nightmare for you. So, let's just call it 5 weeks from now. How much better can it really get? Brissett's made his mistakes. We've seen that. Last week was really a big one where, throwing back across the middle, doing things at the end of the ball game, living to fight another down. That just wasn't in the arsenal. And I think Brissett's done good things at times, but when it counts, decision making, that's what you get paid money for.
Yep.
You know,
he's a backup.
Kids at the high school level make those mistakes because they're not getting paid money for it. You know, when you're getting paid money to do that, you're trained not to make those poor choices. And you know, as you mentioned, shaking off rust. I mean, is Deshaun Watson going to really be able to bring that much more to the table? But I got to give you a couple notes here, my man. We've never really got to really put the spotlight on you, and I was giving some notes here. You're talking about Willie Mays back in the 48 series, and
which I wasn't around for, by the way, but I hear that was a heck of a catch.
we had
I've seen it.
We had Doug Miller, former athletic director over there at East Canton, pop by and said, you know the history of your partner Sam Bourquin and his baseball days. He said, he struggled a little bit as a freshman, going 3-5.
Oh, thanks, Coach.
He gave you a
dub?
I was
2-5, but I'll take it.
All right,
you know what my ERA was my freshman year?
7.3.
7.14.
Wow, it's close.
And I was 2-5. I'm here to admit it, ladies and gentlemen. I blew as a freshman. I was not very good, but I got a lot of good coaching and a lot of experience.
But after that, the guy would go 16-0, which stood on OSHA's website for a very long time, I believe, since has been surpassed, but was 16-0 as a pitcher, became famous for what most would call, or what Doug would call, a forkball, but you would call a split finger fastball that said you just have people up there just flipping the helmet off, grabbing hair because that thing was coming in and it would just drop off.
Little nose.
After 16-0, you drop one to New Philly 3-2, and then
Tuscarora Park,
and then you fired it back up. You led your team into the regional final after beating Genoa.
Yeah,
couldn't get it done against Bedford Chanel. Who took them out in that game?
My man Boomer Brian Beck.
Yep.
And I was.
He just recently passed, correct?
No.
Who was the gentleman off your pitching staff that recently passed?
No, he Steve Udek.
Gotcha.
He was our DH.
Okay.
Udi was our DH, and rest in peace, big fella. He was a. You know what? One day maybe we'll do a story about the true characters in Stark County sports at the amateur level. 5 hours I've got on Steve, believe me. So yeah, but I look, as any decent pitcher would say, I had a hell of a defense behind me. I had great catchers. Robbie Leahy and Brian Beck called great games. They blocked everything. You know, when I was throwing that slop up there, that splitter.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, splitter.
That's a nightmare for a catcher.
It's a nightmare, and I know they wanted to come out and wring my neck sometimes, but it was effective for the most part. You know, like a lot of us, I'm assuming you're in that category, playing at football at a very high level. And as I get older, I hated to lose more than I love to win.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the New Philly game. It took me 5 seconds. Tuscarora Park. I gave up back-to-back home runs down there.
No way.
Lost 3-2. Little Mickey Mouse Park. It was about 200 feet away.
Was this early in the ball game? Late in the ball game?
Yes, early.
Yeah.
Early. And
you got Savali'd.
Little pop flies. They were just flying out. You could see the Ferris wheel in the background down in New Philly. You know, it just would float over. We lost that one 3-2. And then the regional championship, we were one game. This was when the games were down in Columbus, the baseball, and we were one game away, and we lost to Bedford Chanel, who came in with a record of 9-16. We were 27. We were 28-4.
Oh my gosh!
If there was a line on the game back then, we would have been a huge favorite. And
I mean, they just had a magical run to be able to get there.
They did. They caught fire, and there was a kid by the name of Miles Creed. He was the pitcher, right-hander. Probably threw 55 miles an hour, and we couldn't hit him. So we got beat up pretty bad, and it was like 78 degrees that day. We traveled everywhere in that tournament that year. We beat Genoa up at Oberlin College. We had to come back 2 days later. We went up to Barberton, and that's where we played our regional championship. Maybe the biggest crowd in high school baseball I'd ever seen at that moment in time. And we got behind. We fought back a little bit. Couldn't get over the hump. And Boomer had a tough day that day. And I was just, you know, when you're a pitcher and you're not out there, because I pitched 2 days before, you just get angry, and you start like, and I went and tapped on Duger's shoulder. I said, I want to go in. I'm going to go warm up. I went and warmed up, and I went in. My first pitch, excuse me, gave up a ringing triple in the gap. Next guy got hit in the head. Right here. Right on the ear flap. And he was about 6'3", 250. He was a wrestler.
Oh.
I didn't care. Right there.
You were ready to Nolan Ryan his ass if he came in.
I was ready to rumble. But we had a great year. We had a lot of fun, a lot of lifelong friends that I still are very, very close to this day. And we had some fun. We every time we ever get together, we said, "Oh man, just one more, we would have been there." But we had a nice.
Dougie came up here this morning. He said, "You need to know the origins of Sammy B. If you're going to be spitballing with Sammy B, you got to know his origins." I said, I could take you back to Central in '88. So I was only 4 years old. I think I was still in diapers.
Did Doug tell you that I mentioned we went 28-5, so we were able to get 33 games in. Try doing that now with the spring that we have around here with the weather. Did he tell you how on two different occasions, once at Cook Park and once at Northwest, it rained so bad, but we wanted to play, and even on the road, Coach fired up a couple of gas cans and brought them over on the bus, and he lit the field on fire so it would dry up. Honest to God, we played. Couldn't do that today, but we did it. We did it. Lit the field on fire.
That's 80s stuff right there, man.
It's true story.
Could you imagine?
Could
you imagine doing that now, and the Karens that would be coming out of left field?
Oh my God!
What are you doing?
I mean, can you imagine? You're out there.
You guys just wanted to play ball.
We just wanted to play ball. It was probably like 40. It was miserable, but we wanted to play. And you can only throw so much drying agent and stuff on a field, and here comes Duger with the kerosene cans, dumping them all over. Come on, boys, let's go. We're not playing.
Somebody fire up a heater. Get this party started.
I think poor Gary Woods was the AD, I think, then at Northwest. And he was probably like, what the hell is the matter with you people? We just want to play, Gary. So we did. We had fun. That was what it was all about. So yeah, those were good times. And of course,
now we're talking about positive things, man.
See, we got right off the Browns and into positivity. So let's stay with the positivity. I mean, real quick on the Browns. Before the end of this season, so we'll carry it over into 2023. How many firings are there between Stefanski, Woods, and Prefer? Or do they all stay?
I think Haslam will stick with Stefanski, but he's going to come down and say, not your choice, clean house, and whoever you decide to want to come in here as a coordinator on whatever side of the ball or special teams, all gets approved by me. I think Jimmy has to eventually just put his foot down and, or for all we know, Jimmy doesn't know anything about football. He knows how to make money.
Be onto something there.
He knows how to make money. He's made billions and billions of dollars. But to a point, I mean, if you're the owner of a football team, you got to say, listen, I mean, this isn't rocket science. I mean, what you're doing is just not getting it done. And I hate the fact that we see turnover on head coaches every 3 years. I just don't think that's enough time, especially at the college level. I mean, you don't even get time to get a full recruiting class in before you get booted out. So, to be able to see your young talent develop, allow your coaching to take form and take shape, although it shouldn't be that hard in the NFL. When you draft guys, you're drafting them on the premise that they're already great football players, whether they were coached up well in college or not, especially when you're taking a shot at a guy. If you're grabbing a guy from Ohio State or Alabama or Texas or Michigan, they've been coached up by some of the best in the business.
You should be able to hit on those.
You snatch a guy from Tulane and you don't know. Not to take a shot at Tulane, but hey, Coastal Carolina, Florida Atlantic, wherever it may be, you could say, hey, flip of a coin, maybe we got to do some work with this guy. He's a project, but this project maybe one day ends up in Canton, Ohio.
Do you think that and I'm under the umbrella here, TJ, I think that I don't think we're very good talent evaluators.
No.
The Browns.
No.
Look, you got to hit on the ones and twos. maybe even a 3 here and there. After that, you got to do your homework 4 through 7. Delpit, Greedy, Jacob Phillip. I mean, there's guys that I keep hearing how great the defense is, how much talent we have. Well, I don't know if I believe all that. I don't know if we are the most talented team. I don't. I don't see it. I didn't even see it like in camp. Of course, they don't do much in camp anymore. You're limited contact. There's limited practice. There's no more 2-a-days. So the other thing I wanted to ask you is, have you ever been a part of a team that you noticed that the coach, and I don't want you to name any names here, maybe had lost the locker room a little bit? And what's that like? Because I think that might be going on here a little bit.
Yeah, it's I've been around players that have felt that they were bigger than the team, and that can be a problem. I've been around coaches. I was part of a rebuilding year in 2004 at Ohio State. I mean, we had guys like Will Smith and Chris Gamble and Craig Krenzel and a great offensive lineman like Shane Olivier and Bryce Bishop, Adrian Clark. Those guys all graduated, and it's like, okay, now it's your guys' turn. There's a reason that 2002 you guys were the number 2 recruited class in the country. So now it's time for you guys to kind of show what you're all about and what you've learned. But until you actually step out there between the white lines and get it on in a live game situation, it doesn't matter that I practice against Will Smith. It's a game type situation, and practice is practice. So you get guys that you get coaches that maybe they're putting some trust in you, hoping that you can get the job done, and you get out there and you don't get it done. And I think from a perspective like mine, I said, hey, coach, over here, put me in. I can get it done. But whether you're in a doghouse or this or that, or maybe it was a class thing or whatever. And then finally, once they make the whole reshuffle and it all comes together, and it's like, wow, yep, now we've arrived. Now we're here. But for a while there, it takes the coaches time to get the right mix of guys in there. And sometimes you can see players kind of push back against that and say, hey, come on, coach. We want to win right now. Don't punish this guy for maybe doing something off the field that he shouldn't have been doing. Slap him on the wrist. He learned his lesson. Let's get back in there and let's start winning.
Did you prefer a screamer, hollerer, motivator kind of guy, or did you prefer a guy like Kevin Stefanski? What works?
I was a rah-rah guy. Now, I will tell you this. One of the biggest things I learned about becoming a leader when I was down in Columbus was that leadership takes all forms, all shapes and sizes. A guy like Ted Ginn Jr., for instance, if you yelled at him and started doing the rah-rah stuff, he would shell up and make more mistakes. And I saw that firsthand when we were playing Michigan State, and he botched maybe 2 or 3 punts. And I saw, guys were kind of getting on him a little bit, getting a little brusque, so to say. And he went out there, and he botched another punt. And that's when I said, okay, I think I figured out what's going on here. And I put my arm around him and kind of slow it down a little bit and just had a quiet conversation to the side. And all of a sudden he pops off for like 140 yards in the next 2 quarters. So some guys can take the fiery talk. Some guys can't. Some guys, you have to just approach every case differently. And that's kind of the message that I try and tell the high school kids when I talk to them. I had a chance to talk to the Jackson football team last week. And I told one of the guys on there, I said, listen, man, I said, you've got to be a leader, but understand that not everybody can be led the same way. So figure it out. These guys best and work your magic. And that's what it all comes down to.
Yeah, and you can't fool guys either. Like Kevin Stefanski is not going to wake up tomorrow morning and turn into the fire and brimstone coach for 2 hours. It's not in him. It's not. That would not his personality.
That'd be fake at that point.
Right, and players can see right through that.
Yeah,
they can. So if you're going to be that way, you got to be that way from the outset. You can maybe bring it down a notch, but you can't turn on the fake. It's not going to happen. And that's why I kind of wonder, and look, I don't think you need that in today's NFL, but you do need a guy who is a little bit stern, a guy who can give you that glare like a Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
I don't think the players are taking to what Kevin's doing. And I'm of the belief that Kevin is a very good offensive coordinator most of the time. But as far as overseeing all 53 and all 50 coaches and everything, the attention to detail and the game and time management, it's a lot. if they took the offensive coordinator off of his plate and just let him be the head coach, let Van Pelt call the plays. It worked against Pittsburgh in the playoff game. I don't know. But I just don't think Kevin can do both. And Kevin's not a guy who's going to stand at the top of the mountain and yell down. It's just not going to happen. And who knows how the guys would take it anyway. Some guys might go, coach. And some guys might revolt. Some guys might curl up a little bit. I don't know. It's not easy. That's why there's only 32 of them out there, I guess.
Right.
But you got to figure out something.
And find the ones that curl up, get them on a bus and get them out of town. you at that level, again, when you're getting paid money to do something, you need to have tough skin. You're expected to perform. And if you can't take the heat, you should not be in that kitchen. The old Freddie Kitchens. Don't get into Freddie Kitchens if you can't take the heat, man.
That's right.
That's the NFL for a reason, man. It's the best of the best. You're expected to act like it.
So they're 2-5. You've already played against some pretty nondescript, non-nameable quarterbacks, and you come up short. Bailey Zappi being one. Coming up, you've got Joey Burrow. You've got, you had Lamar. You got Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Josh Allen. I mean, they're playing some of the best quarterbacks in football coming up.
That's fine.
I could see 2-8, 2-9. Oof. And then what do you do? And then what do you do when Deshaun comes back? If you're already completely, positively out of the mess,
throw him in.
You still throw him in?
Throw him in. You know, the conversation we had, I think, going back at least 4 or 5 weeks was, if Jacoby Brissett is doing good, do you let him roll say, okay, listen, Deshaun, we know you got some rust. Let's just keep you in a backup role, even though you're making $236. Let's just wait to start this thing next season because it's already week 12. You got 5 more weeks. So that was if you were in a playoff picture. At that point, you're not. At that point, it's like, okay, Deshaun, we paid you the money to come in here and do this thing. It's time to roll from week 12. You're the guy. Get it done. So I think being on two opposite ends of the spectrum like that kind of shows itself that, if Jacoby is not, it's not going to be in a position for playoffs by that time. Yeah. You just named those quarterbacks. You would be fortunate to go 500 over the next 6 games, over the next 5 games, which leads you up to week 12 when Deshaun comes back. So even if you go 2-3, you're still out. You're still out of the
4-8.
Yeah, you're still out of the playoff picture. So, now rattle off 5 in a row. And when we have this conversation that week, I'm going to tell you the story from week 1.
What's in that cup over there? That water is something else.
5-0. Heard it here first.
The optimist, the total optimist, the fandemonian in everybody is, hey, you beat the Bengals. That's another win in the division, and I think history tells us that this is not going to go well. And I want to go back to the point you made about Stefanski. I'm with you. I think you. For once, Jimmy, let's ride the contract out. I think they gave him a 5-year deal. All right, so he'll be 3 years in. If you got to make a change or 2 as a coordinator, okay. But let's see, because we've never just let's see. They've always whacked a guy. You know what I mean? So today, I might change my mind tomorrow, but today, let's ride him out. Let's see what he can do with Deshaun, because he would still have 2.5 years with him in his system, and maybe some other things happen. We are just wasting next time. We're wasting his years.
Sad.
16 carries today, 17 a week ago. He's such a good guy. He's great teammate.
He's elite.
He works hard, and we're just pissing it away. You know what I mean? Nick Chubb you have today and the year ago and a year ago before that, you're not going to have him in 3 or 4 years. You're just not. And I would hate to see if we became what we all want us to become and he wasn't a part of it. I would be just not happy.
Yeah, it feels. Not happy. A lot of people say it feels very Joe Thomas-like. We had the best left tackle in the league for upwards of a decade. And right now, we how many years are we in on Nick Chubb right now? 4 or so years.
This is it. Yes, 4.
And it just really, you hit the nail on the head. It feels like wasted years. Yeah. And he is such an elite, great running back in the NFL. And he works so hard, and he keeps his mouth shut, and he doesn't stir up controversy. He doesn't want drama. He's not out there looking for the limelight.
Nope.
He just wants to run the ball effectively, help his team win, and be the best at his craft. That's a tough pill to swallow, man, because he's sitting there on a 2-5 team.
And he's right. TJ, what is it? It's about 4.5 years as your average for a running back in the NFL.
Maybe even a little bit less than that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
might be like 4.1.
It might be into that 3 to 4 year window.
And Nick Chubb obviously keeps himself in great shape, and maybe he'll be a guy you can go 7 or 8 years with him. But at some point, of course, when you're only getting the ball 16 times, maybe that's saving him for a couple of years. Maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know. But, you get hit that many times over the years, and the bumps and the bruises and getting out of bed on Monday morning, it becomes harder and harder and harder. So I just hate the fact that he's such a nice kid and a great leader that we're missing out on that. But this team could look totally different, too, in a couple of years. I think it looks like they're trying to phase Kareem Hunt out of the game plan for some reason. I think we lost 2 tight ends yesterday. I think Njoku's going to be out for an indefinite amount of time. Pharaoh Brown got hurt yesterday. Too many crickets.
Wow.
I don't know. All I can just say is Browns. That's all I can say.
There you go. It's very Browns.
That's all I can say. Very Browns. All right, we are live here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club as I pound the table and I take the focus off of the camera like a true unprofessional would do. Sam Burke with TJ Donning. It's a
Damn
Tozzis.
Browns.
Damn Browns. Tozzis on 12th Street. This is week 7 for us. We've got 28 more big ones to go. Join us every Monday about this time, 11 o'clock, and we'll take you up to the podium at noon for the beginning of the program, and then we'll have our guest speaker and a little Q&A, and then TJ will come back on the other side and wrap things up and get ready for another big week. All right, we got that hat out of the way. Your thoughts, my friend, on the Maslin-McKinley game last Saturday at Paul Brown Tiger Stadium. Almost 16,000 fans, a beautiful Saturday afternoon. And again, wasn't a pretty game. Not a lot of big plays, a couple. But it was Smash Mouth, and it was Hartson, and it was Maslin winning again. And I believe that's 7 in a row for the Tigers in the War of 1894. What do you think?
7 in a row. It was interesting to me because the Tigers went out 21-0. And I thought, wow.
Did you think? I thought running clock for a minute.
I thought they were getting things rolling. And credit McKinley, credit Antonio Hall, man. He kept his guys in the fight. They were able to sneak one in there on a late touchdown from Rhodey to Vasquez, and
got the ball back to start the second half. I thought, hey,
you just kind of felt like there was something going. The McKinley team never quit. They stayed in it. They would have that punt attempt snap over the back of their heads in the back of the end zone for the safety and give the ball back to Maslin. And then at that point, you knew it's not going to be anything sexy. It's going to be ground and pound. And that's where you saw the front, both fronts, defensively and offensively for the Maslin Tigers kind of win the ball game. But shout out to Antonio Hall and his crew, man. They never quit. They never gave up. They fought all the way through. It was a great day. You could not ask
are you kidding
for a more perfect Saturday afternoon football day. I don't care what country you're in, what state you're in, what county you're in. It was 70, 75 degrees.
Glorious.
It was beautiful. And it was a packed freaking house, man. And that's exactly what you expect from the greatest high school rivalry in the country. I mean, you couldn't ask for any more, man. You had the catbird seat. I got fried down there on the field doing my sideline duties, man. I was scorched.
I got to tell you,
earth, man.
You were doing the TV for Washington High School television and did a great job. And I couldn't hear you, but I could see you because we had a giant.
Oh, you were
monitor.
right next to it, yeah.
I had a giant monitor right next to me, so I'm like, and I was like excited because we got replays, which we usually don't get.
Yeah,
and I thought, all right, this is cool. And Dave Sheets was we were side by side, and I would look over for the replays for certain plays, and a couple times I could see peripherally that you were on. They went down to you. And about the third quarter, I was looking, and I elbowed my partner Jeff Shreve on 106.9 the iHeartRadio. I said, "My boy's getting sunburned down there today. He didn't bring any sunscreen.
No.
You could tell.
Yeah.
Your back." I said, "There's nowhere to hide. I mean, you're out there. You can't go anywhere."
I couldn't wear a hat on TV.
No, and I would have. I mean, but you were getting sunburned. But I mean, it was beautiful. And obviously starting. This game used to be played the first Saturday in November, so that's 2 free weeks of good weather that we're taking advantage of here. Next year you could get 40 and gravel coming out of the sky. Who knows? But the weather was fantastic. The bands, the color, the pageantry, the balloons. Every year I take a video up top. And I love how both schools time it out where they both come on the field at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is cool. You got the Maslin band, you got the inflatable tunnel, you got the big Obie, then in McKinley over here, you get the cheerleading squad, the players come out. Both teams' balloons go up in the air at the same time. There's nothing like it. I'm getting chills right now even thinking about it.
Spectacle, man.
And it's just, I hope, for many, many years I'm able to watch that from said catbird seat because there is nothing like it. Thank you. Oh, the ice water has arrived.
Yeah,
So,
it was nice too. And go back and check out Stark Media Team Facebook page. We have both those band shows, pieces of the band shows from both Maslin and McKinley from halftime. And that's kind of the cool thing for me too, because from my days, whether it was broadcasting from the press box or playing, I never really got to see band shows, and I enjoy that almost as much anymore. It is so fun.
I do too.
I never once got to see Script Ohio when I was at Ohio State, and to see, the McKinley marching band, to see the Tywing band, that was pretty cool. It was a full show, and the crowd was into it.
Oh yeah.
So shout out to both of those schools, and go back and check out our Facebook page, Stark Media Team, Stark Media One. You can see both those shows we put up.
And don't forget, also check us out on Instagram, on Facebook, and Twitter. Some short game clip videos, some photos from the afternoon. It was really cool, and if time would have permitted, I would have definitely gone downtown just to see what was going on at the Centennial Plaza. I heard a terrific turnout.
Oh yeah,
I saw some photos of people sitting there. I was kind of funny because whoever was taking the photos was taking them from up on the stage out at the people in the lawn area, and everybody was like this because the sun was getting them. But it looked like a great crowd. I saw a lot of folks that were, thank you Stark Media for putting that on and making that happen, and obviously Chris Majori over at the Jersey's Cafe and Howard Hanna, and I know I'm leaving one more.
Parcher Realty team.
Realty team.
Yeah, it was a great day. We're sitting there, and Jeff Lindesmith from Central Catholic had rolled up with his wife Carla, and then John Lindsay comes in, brings up a couple breakfast pizzas. Shout out to our guy Lindsay, man, always gets it done. And then AJ Sarball showed up with Brody Pumnio and Luke Yoder, who was our finally HereOhio.com player of the game from the night before for winning the Blue Cup against Tuslaw. And then here comes the buses pulling up. And the McKinley cheer squad heard that we were having a little event down there. Never reached out to them, nothing. They knew we were having an event, and they pulled up and they said, "Hey, can we come out?" I said, "Damn straight, come on out." I said, "The stage is yours, come on out." So they put on a show for everybody, and everybody was enjoying the refreshments inside of Jersey's Cafe. And by about 12 o'clock, when that sun was fully hit, and I had already made my trip out to Maslin, I was already down on the field, and they were sending me pictures, and people just started lining up their chairs in rows, getting ready for the show to start up there. And there was some good trivia. We were giving away free beers inside. Guess this trivia question, and we'll buy you a beer. Stark Media going to buy you a beer. So
nice.
Just show your ID.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that went off well. And for those that went down to the plaza downtown, thank you for coming down and supporting our event. We hope to do this many years. And
I got to tell you, you saw it too, because I put it up on our social media that I popped down there the night before, just getting in the mood, getting in the vibe, and I come in there at Centennial Plaza, and it's probably about 11 o'clock at night. And I go in there, and there's 3 people that are dressed in bear costumes. It was almost like something out of like a creepy movie or something. And they're out there dancing. Like it's some
Was this some kind of a B Halloween movie or
like some
something?
type of like it was like hedonism down there or something. These people are getting ready for like this weird show where everybody's dressing up and doing like crazy. I don't know. It was like from a Daft Punk video or something, right? And this dude and they see me come over the hill, and this bear comes sprinting at me, and just locks up like this right in front of me. And I started talking to him, and he starts talking back to me, and I'm like,
talking to a bear.
yeah, I'm like, geez, what
were you doing?
These are from back in the college days, man. Maybe.
Oh, that's funny.
No,
Well,
yeah, it was a good time. So Centennial Plaza, just a great spot to host and have a great party, and
concerts, events like we had, watch parties, tailgates.
Yep.
I know a lot of people go down there to watch the Buckeye games, the Browns games. There's concerts, there's the festivals that pop up during the year, and that's still kind of in its infancy down there. Wait till there's events there every single weekend from like maybe the middle of May all the way through October, and
we'll definitely be back down there.
Oh,
Start Media Team's going to be back down there for sure.
Yeah, well, we had a great time at Jersey's just filming our show with Tom McDaniels a couple of days before. We got a lot of great feedback on that. That's still up on the Stark Media YouTube page as well. And while you're there, we invite you to subscribe to that. You can watch all the great videos and things we've got there and coming up here in the future as well. So turn into a little hotspot now. I know we're about 363 days away. I'll have to stake out Tiger it'll be at Benson next week or next year.
Yep.
So we could probably still hang down there then.
Yeah.
Maybe
so I know, I had to make Mayor Kathy and Becca a promise that they said, well, you're having a party in Canton when the game's in Massillon, so you better be having a party in Massillon when the game's in Canton next year. So maybe we'll do a twofer.
We could do both.
We'll do both.
Now that we got one in the bag, now we can maybe Centennial Plaza and then maybe one over at Duncan Plaza.
There you go, man. Line it up, man. We'll get reach out to our guy and get some talent up on the stage.
There you go.
We'll mix in. We bring the guy with the marshmallow head.
There you go.
We'll have the Bears out there and spectacle.
My man. God, I haven't seen him forever. So we had a great time, a great weekend, and Stark Media and iHeart. It was fantastic. And heck, we didn't touch much on Friday, but you had probably the best game, I think, of the weekend as far as close and the ending. I mean, my gosh, Jackson almost pulled that thing out. But the Hoover-Jackson game was fantastic. I'm going to take up a lot of time talking about my game because it was good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Lake was outstanding against Green.
Am I correct in hearing that that's Lake's first piece of a Federal League title since '98?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
So congratulations to Coach George, and Coach Durbin was there on the field after the game.
Nice.
Kind of took part of the little celebration they had.
He would have been the last coach to get it there, man. That's going back a ways. That's going back to my freshman sophomore year, and they hammered us in Fawcett Stadium. So I mean, Lake was strong back then, but to me, it was like that was kind of a head scratcher. I'm thinking, it's been almost a quarter of a century since the Blue Streaks have had a piece of the title.
Yep.
Wow,
crazy. I know, it's crazy. We were talking during the broadcast. I said I didn't know. I might have said this too. I said I don't know what was more bizarre to me: that Dan DeGeorge has been the head football coach at Lake for 10 years, or the fact that Jeff Durbin has been gone for 10 years.
Yeah,
I mean, because Jeff, he galvanized and brought that baby to the forefront, and they fought for a couple of state titles. They didn't get them. But man, we touched on their '91 team the year he was there. They lost to Fostoria.
Matt Christopher's son is playing for them. now.
Yes. I mean, my guy, he's playing a heck of a linebacker.
Yeah.
He wears 32. Matt, of course, wore 30. I was also laughing. I was talking to Jeff Shreve during the broadcast. I don't remember anybody wearing bigger shoulder pads than Matt Christopher playing. I mean, it was like 5 stacked on top of me. I don't know how he moved. And he ran the ball too. He was a running back and a linebacker. But it's the shoulder pads. So there's a great photo. I'm sure you've seen it in the press box when you walk up the steps. They have about 15 to 20 portraits in frames over at Lake, and one of them is Matt with a big, just behemoth-sized shoulder pads on, and you got the eye black, and you got a little steam coming off the head, and brings back some great.
God, I remember watching that '98 game. I believe they lost to Walsh Jesuit over at Paul Brown Tiger Stadium for a chance to go to the state championship game. They made the Final Four, and then
I
I mean that's going back a ways, man.
But they, Jeff Durbin and then Dan DeGeorge, and they were pointing to this year. Remember a lot of the press clippings and the talk. We've been knocking. We're gonna, as Bum Phillips would say back in the day, we're gonna kick the damn door in.
Yeah,
and they did 9-1 to share the Fed with McKinley, and I don't want to look too far ahead, but
collision course
could be a little Blue Streak Tiger thing going on here, maybe in about 3 or 4 weeks, but. We'll take her one game at a time.
I think Dan DeGeorge has done a great job over there. Obviously, having Will Butler transfer in has been huge for that team. Played for Mogador last year, and we got a chance to do the Holy War, the Stark County Holy War on Thursday night. And, one of the central themes, talking to Jeff Linda Smith's son, Bo Linda Smith, the offensive line coach, afterwards, was we could be on a collision course with Mogador, and I know that they would love to have a piece of them. And I kind of misquoted that when we talked on air, that I thought that Jack Talkington had gone out late in the fourth. He actually left that game at halftime. It was an ankle injury, not a shoulder injury. But I know that between Jack Talkington, that entire coaching staff, and all those players wrapped around, they would love nothing more than to put a run together, which I think is very, very possible with the talent that they've played going into a Division VI playoff bracket. Even though it's a tough one, you got Kirtland sitting up top there. Yeah. But, they could make a run, and I know they would love. They've already been talking about it. We would love to see Mogador. And, because that overtime, I believe that was last year.
Overtime.
You're right there when you get to overtime. I know that they would love to have a shot back at them. But, yeah, it was a great weekend of high school football. We can you already believe we're hitting playoffs, man.
Here, I'm sitting here looking at the matchups, and Week 11's here. When you see number seed against number seed, it's time for the playoffs to begin. And here we go. And right off the rip, you got four locals going against each other. McKinley at Glen Oak, Massillon at Perry. We'll have those games, by the way.
Reversed. Glen Oak at McKinley.
I'm sorry,
Perry
Glen
at
Oak at McKinley, Perry at Massillon. Jackson will be hosting Berea Mid Park. Lake will be hosting Dublin Scioto. Now, normally that would make me a little nervous, but Scioto is not the Scioto that we have been used to watching the last 5 or 6 years. But they're in. Sunbury Big Walnut will get Green. Green's struggling. They got some kids out, and they're struggling a little bit. Hoover will play Licking Heights. That'll be at North Canton. Alliance on the road at Cheney over at Youngstown. West Branch hosting Field. Northwest against Streetsboro. Canton South against Salem. That's a pretty good game there. Fairless Orville. Good matchup. Canton Central Catholic against Mineral Ridge. And Cole Grove. Dawson Bryant hosting Malvern. I had a young lady yesterday reach out to me on Facebook. She said, "Hey, where's Dawson Bryant?" She says, my dad wants to go support Malvern. I said, "Well, it's in Cole Grove."
Gas up the RV.
And like an idiot, I didn't say where it was. She says, "Where's Cole Grove?" And so then I sent her a picture of the map of the state of Ohio and a little red dot down by Ironton, almost into West Virginia. And I said, it's about a 3.5 hour drive, maybe longer.
That makes no sense.
And she just said, "Well, I'll pass the information along." I
think somebody jumped on our Twitter page. I might get this wrong. Coach Aldino. Not sure if he's a coach down there at Malvern or not, but Malvern's a good football team. Mm-hmm. They just won their third consecutive IVC title. To have to travel in the first round that far, to me, I don't know if
it's damn near 4 hours.
When we're talking about already taking 16 teams, the fact that an 8-2 Malvern team that just won their third IVC title is not in the top 8 is kind of a head scratcher. And then you look all the way up at Division I, and no knock against Jackson, but that's a 5-5 ball team that's hosting. So I know that we've all kind of said 16's too much. How do we work this thing out here?
1-9 Stowe is in the playoffs.
There you go.
1
How about that?
and
Hey,
9.
maybe they're a late bloomer. Maybe they'll win a state championship. I don't think so, but that just I don't buy it. We know that it's a cash grab. It is what it is. There's millions. Talking 7 figures on the table potentially for that extra round or two here.
7 divisions times. You do the math.
A lot of football games on Friday night. Could have split them up between 2 evenings, but going with 1.
Yeah. So, and then I had forgotten. Shame on me. I had forgotten that the first 2 rounds were at the home sites. I thought it was just the first round. It's 2. And also, the first 2 rounds of the playoffs are only Friday. Round 3, we start going Friday night and Saturday night. So keep that in mind. But again, the first 2, the highest seeds will host in those playoff games. So, and I'm sure you have done as well. You've looked ahead to some possible second round matchups, and boy, it gets serious real quick, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
This
is where it gets fun. When you start talking about win or go home, that's when it gets fun. You see kids. Not to say that you didn't see everything emptied out of the tank in the regular season, but when you get into the playoffs, there's a little bit something extra that you see come out of guys because they know that their season, that their career, their high school career could be over at the end of that game.
This is it. And you saw firsthand, you were on the field after the McKinley-Massillon game. You saw some kids from McKinley that were, upset.
Yeah.
Visibly upset. Down on a knee, and they had their helmet, and they had like their hands in their, and it's like, that game at the end of it, it's always tough when you're on the other side because you put so much in all of the hoopla end of the week and everything. It's like, oh man, but you gotta come around because and you get to go back home and play another game too, which is nice, and you get a chance to move on. Now, if McKinley would win, they would be heading up north to play one of the Giants. It looks like, but it's nice to see if you can get those kids to come back off of the low and regather and come together and play a good football game and see if they can move on. I'm going to tell you what, I wasn't juiced for this matchup. I don't like rematches. I am not a rematch guy in high school football. We've seen it once. We don't need to see it again. But the way Glen Oak is starting to play, and they're catching McKinley in week 11 is a real beast.
Ooh.
I'm just saying I think this is going to be a much better game than I originally maybe thought it would be. That's all.
I think you're right. And you look back, and I want to say, I was in college at the time, I want to say it was roughly 2004. Scott Garcia and the Golden Eagles had beaten McKinley in the regular season and then rematched them in the playoffs. I want to say to go to the regional final, or it was the regional final, and then they lost. And that was back when both Heartlines were there. And so, I think this could be interesting. I'm still not going to put all my chips in on the Glen Oak Golden Eagles. I can't do that just yet because, I like what McKinley can do. I like the way they stayed in that ball game. They got to get a little bit more accurate in the pass game. I know that Nino Hill was banged up, but I think when Nino Hill and Trayton Mackey can go 1-2 punch off of each other, it's a pretty good system. Up front.
And they're hurting without Sincere McNeil, too. I don't know his status because he went out.
He got hurt on the opening kickoff.
I might be wrong here. I had heard he may have hurt himself in pregame.
He may have, but he went out there for the opening kickoff
is when it happened.
And then it sealed the deal because I was down there. You can go back and check our Facebook Live on Facebook, and I'm sitting there, and I've got Keaton Rohde, Sincere McNeil, and Dante McClellan all in the same picture, all in the same frame, working out, getting ready, 100% fine. They look fine. And then I'm sitting there watching this game. Where is number 10 at? To me, I think he's their best player, especially when you talk about going 2 ways.
Arguably, I would agree.
And to not have him, that was a big loss from the McKinley Bulldogs. So you want him back.
So you figure a healthy Sincere McNeil. I don't know what the injury is. Well, I do, but I'm not going to say. But if he's healthy and Keaton can get her going a little bit, then you got Nino Hill and Trayton Mackey. Gosh, I love when they throw to McClellan. I think he's dynamite.
He's
Vasquez is.
He's got D1 talent written on him.
He's got just quick reflexes when he catches the ball. We saw that touchdown they scored at the end.
He's got a little attitude to him too. He's feisty out there. I like that. That was the other thing I like too. Being down there on the sideline, man, I could hear the smack talk going on.
A little bit of that going on.
Oh yeah. Number 2, Vasquez. He was talking it, man.
So I think the McKinley Glen Oak matchup could be a little bit more interesting maybe than than some folks would think. The Maslin-Perry game, it's a 1 versus a 16. Perry's been struggling. Now, again, Maslin will be – it's a tough week for them, too. Week 11 is always tough for them. But we all know the history. We all know the speaking of smack talk.
Do not like each other.
Don't like each other.
Hate, borderline hatred.
Yeah. And so, but this is a little different feel, though, to me, than in the past when these teams have gotten together, because I think the Keith Wakefield factor played in, and then let's be honest, they were more talented teams.
Yeah,
I mean the Maslin-Perry games, a couple of those were they were something.
Yeah.
Okay. This one here, I don't know.
The most recent two in the playoffs were they were bad because, I mean, let's just be honest about it. When you've got Jaden Ballard and Andrew Wilson-Lamp that are torching you offensively, and you're still running a wing T offense, you're not going to win the game. 100%, you are not going to win the game. When you're trailing 35-7, coming out of the locker room at halftime, and you're running a wing T still, you are not going to win the football game. You need a million different things to go your direction, and it's not going to happen because, I'm sorry, it's just not. Now, the deep threat is, and that's what really kind of confused me the other day on Saturday afternoon. You saw, go back and check out our Twitter page, the big home run shot to Ardell Banks.
Oh, God.
I'm like, dang, Troxler, Mazer, whoever's calling the plays, I would have been going back to that well. Up 21-0. They came back and they got the ball, I think, right around their own 30 or 40-yard line. You know how I am offensively. I'm home run shotting that thing on 1st and 10. Let's go right now. We're up 21-0. You start handing off, hand off right, hand off left. I get it. Conservative, safe football. Don't do anything crazy to hurt yourself.
Yep.
But I'm a gas pedal guy. Keep it down until the end of the fourth quarter, and then we'll talk about it after that. But I don't know if you're going to see that type of Maslin offense that we saw over in Perry most recently, and then over in Uniontown the time before that, which I think was just the previous year.
Yeah.
So
I think it's number 4. It's his game.
Yeah.
And look, Slaughter's fantastic. Obviously, they got some really good wide receivers. How about Mylan Lennox kind of coming on the scene a little bit there at the end? Speaking of the end for us right now, we'll be back afterwards. Right now, we're going to go up to the podium and get you ready for another week of the Stark Media Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club here at Tozzis on 12.
On behalf of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Board of Directors of